নাও পিয়ালি শুরু করো। পিয়ালি,
Good evening to respected sir and my
গুড
audience.
ইভিনিং, এবার শুরু করে দাও।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, আপনি কি দেখতে পাচ্ছেন আমার স্ক্রিনটা?
তুমি হোস্ট।
ওকে,
না, এখন আসেনি।
শেয়ার করলাম তো স্যার, এবার দেখতে পাচ্ছেন?
আসছে।
হুম, এসেছে স্যার?
এখনো আসেনি, আসছে। হ্যাঁ, এসে গেছে।
ওকে,
এবার তুমি শুরু করে দাও।
হুম। Good evening to my audience and respected sir. Today's topic is policy decision and behavioral economics. Now let's begin with the behavioral economics. We already know that behavioral economics combines insight from psychology and economics to understand how policymaker designs that deviates from rational economic behavior, right? This field challenges the classical assumptions that the individual always act rationally and in their best interest. Instead, it recognizes that biasness, heuristic, and social assumptions. As for example, people often make decisions that are not in their best long-run interest. Rather, sometimes they are influenced by some other members of the society, sometimes due to overconfidence, etc. On the other side, public policy refers to the decision or action taken by the government entities to address societal problem or issues. Public policies include laws, regulation, courses of action, and funding decision, among the others. Different examples of public policy are healthy policy, educational policy, criminal justice policy, etc. Public policy aims to achieve long-run goals, not just immediate needs. Policymakers consider the potential consequences of their decision and try to create policies that will have a lasting impact. Right? This means that policy may take time to implement and require significant sources investment. That's why in policy designs, behavioral economics has an important role to create more effective policies by accounting how much people actually behave rather than how think they should behave. Right? So behavioral economics feeds this insight into the policymaker process to design policies that can effectively nudge people towards making better decisions. So we can say that policy decision and behavioral economics are closely linked. So behavioral economics provides insight into how individuals make decisions, often deviating from the rational models assuming in traditional economics. Moreover, most complex policy and business problems boil down to human behavior. In this case, behavioral economics ultimately determines how people behave strongly influence the services, product, and the organization process are designed and stakeholders embraces them. Policymakers always use this insight to design more effective policies that accounts for human biasness, cognitive limitations, and social influences. Right? So the implication of behavioral economics in policymaking are far-reaching and transformative because they help policymakers design initiatives that are more aligned with how people actually behave rather than relying on assumptions of perfect rationality. So different kind of implications are there. For example, improved policy effectiveness, use of nudges to guide behavior, shaping choice architecture, addressing biasness in decision making, more efficient use of resources, better targeting policies, intervention, encouraging long-term thinking, reducing inefficiency in government problems, ethical consideration, and so on. Okay. Now, the behavioral economics offers several key concepts that can be incredibly useful for designing and implementing effective policy. This concept help policymakers understand how individuals make decisions, what biases influence their choices, and how to design interventions that account for these behaviors. Let's discuss them one by one. First of all, and the most important key concept in behavioral economics for policy design is nudging. Nudging is a stable intervention that encourages people to make decisions in their own best interest without restricting their choices. This idea is to nudge people towards better behavior by altering the way options are presented and structured. More elaborately, we can say that the nudge involves subtly subtle and guiding people's behavior in a way that improves their decision without restricting their freedoms and choices. Policies can design to influence the behavior without likely to save for retirement because they stick with the default or default enrollment, or another example we can say that default enrollment in pension plan increases participation rate, etc. So in policy implication, small changes in how options are presented like default settings or framing can encourage individuals to make choices that align with their long-term interest. Okay. Now, the second is the risk aversion. Risk aversion refers to the tendency of people to feel the pain of a loss more instantly rather than pleasure of equivalent gain. This psychological bias can be used to design policies that leverage people's fear of losing something rather than the promises of gaining something. So the risk-averse people are tending to prefer avoiding losses rather than acquiring equivalent gains. Here, loss aversion means losses are psychologically more impactful than gains the same size. People fear losses more than they value equivalent gains. Policies under risk aversion concept would frame options in terms of avoiding losses rather than the seeking gains. So policies would be framed. Policies leveraging this such that tax penalties for non-compliance can be more effective than the initiatives. Policies could frame options in terms of avoiding losses rather than seeking gains. For example, implementing a green tax on environmentally friendly products such as plastic bags or carbon emissions would be framed as avoiding losses, as for example, environmental degradation, motivating consumers and business to adopt sustainable practices. In another example, we can say that emphasizing the losses from not saving for retirement could encourage their higher saving rates, right? Next is Choice architecture. Choice architecture refers to design the environments in which in which people or policymaker make designs. The way choices are presented can heavily influence the designs people make. Simple change in the presentation of options can nudge individuals towards better choices without restricting their freedom of choices. For example, organizing school lunch means to highlighting healthy option can improve dietary choices. Sometimes government and policymakers can use choice architecture to improve public health, environmental policy, public opinion, voting, retirement savings, financial decision, educational policies, consumer protection, etc. Next is social norms. Social norms are the unwritten rules that government behaviors in the society. People are not motivated to conform to the behaviors of others, especially when they see that they see that others as similar to themselves, suppose the neighbors or something like that. According to social norms, people care not only about their own well-being but also about the well-being of the others. Social norms, fairness play significant role in decision making. So people follow societal expectation. In this case, policy appeal to social preferences such as fairness can be more effective. Publishing the tax compliance rates or energy savings behavior can encourage others to follow suits. Public campaigns that highlights how many people are already participating in an environmental friendly program like recycling or energy conservation or any other public health campaign like vaccination campaigns can leverage social norms to encourage broader participation and also improve outcomes. Next is time inconsistency. Time inconsistency broadly occurs when people's preference change over time, especially when short-term desire conflict their long-run goals. This can lead to procrastinate or failure to follow through a plan. In this situation, people undervalue the future benefit. Policies like commitment savings plans or gradual tax increases help the the contractual short-term biases. For example, commitment devices such as setting up automatic saving accounts where fund cannot be easily accessed can help individual commit to long-run goals and resist the temptation of the short-term spending. So time consistency is a critical concept in behavioral economics because it's affect many areas of policies, particularly those related to long-term planning, savings, health, environmental sustainability, etc. So policymaker needs to design intervention that help people overcome these short-term biases and make decisions that will help benefit in the future. Time consistency may help a critical role in policy making through short-term incentives for long-term goals. Okay. So automatic policies, pre-commitment mechanism, and different kinds of activities are also included there. Framing is also a very important concept in behavioral economics for policy making. Framing indicates the way information or choices are presented, which can significantly influence influence people decision, perception, and behaviors. In behavioral economics, framing is a powerful tool that can lead to individuals to make different choices depending on how the options are presented to them. For instance, a health message framed as 90% of success rate is more persuasive than 10% of failure rates. Okay, so framing can be represented in two ways. First is positive versus negative framing. Sometimes it is also alternatively called as the gain or versus loss framing. The way a choice is framed in terms of potential gain or losses can affect decision making. Framing choice is a positive way suppose that you will save X amount by choosing the option versus the negative frame. As for example, you will lose X amount by choosing the option. This can steer people toward the desired behavior. Okay, sometimes they may gain the same outcome. Okay, and the another type of framing is the attribute framing. It implies emphasizing certain characteristics or features of choice can change the way people perceive its value. As for example, framing a product as 90% fat-free is more appealing than describing it as a 5% fat, even though the information is identical. Now, the mental accounting refers to the way individuals categorize and treat money differently based on its sources and intended use. As for example, people may treat money revised as a gift or windfall differently than their regular income, even though money is fungible. This means that people tend to treat money differently depending on their sources and intended use. Often, uh, some activities such that as treating a tax refunded as extra money rather than part of the household budget. People treat money differently based on its sources. So, policies on financial literacy can help individuals manage their finances more effectively. Policies can encourage people to better manage their finance by using mental accounting principles like offering saving incentives, or breaking down complex financial product into small, understable categories, etc. Next is the present bias. Present bias is the tendency of individual to give stronger weight to immediate rewards for consequences rather than to future ones. This cognitive bias leads to people to prioritize short-term gratification at the expenses of long-term benefits. For instance, some may choose to eat an unhealthy meal today even though they know it could be negatively affect their health in future. But still, they prefer to have some unhealthy meals. Or they may delay savings for, another example you can get that they may delay savings for retirement despite knowing that it's a long-term importance. So present bias play a significant role in decision making and can have substantial implication for policy development, particularly in the areas like health, finance, environmental protection, etc. Because people disproportionately prioritize immediate rewards over future ones, often leading to procrastinate and the suboptimum long-term decision. policymaker can design policies that encourage an individual to think about long term. As for example, that includes that automatic saving or health intensive interventions that require a small effort upfront but offer future benefit, just like prevention health program, etc. Status quo bias is the tendency for people to prefer things to remain the same rather than make a change. People are often reluctant to switch from their current habits, even if doing so would lead to better outcomes. Individuals have a tendency to prefer the current state of affairs and avoid changes, even if better options are available. As for example, automatic renewal of subscription like insurance policies or membership can leverage status quo bias to keep people controlled in beneficial programs, such as health insurance or retirement savings policy can exploit the status quo bias by setting beneficial policies as default. As for example, automatic enrollment in health insurance plan or using opt-out system rather than opt-in system. And lastly, overconfidential bias. Overconfidential bias refers to people's tendency to overcome their own abilities or knowledge. This bias can lead to poor decision making, such as taking on too much risk or understanding the effects required for success. So, financial literacy program or risk education initiative can help the to overcome the overconfidence by providing individual with a more accurate understanding of risk and helping them make more informed decision, right? So policymaker can design intervention and provide feedback or guidance, helping individual recognize the limitation of their knowledge and avoid overly risky behavior such as investment or health decision. Okay, so we know that behavioral insight in policy making refers to the application of behavioral economics and psychology to design policies that accounts for how people actually behave rather than assuming they make decisions purely based on rational or economic calculation or for long-term basis. This insight helps policymakers create more effective intervention by encouraging the biases, cognitive limitations, and social factors that influence behavior. Right? So, by applying this insight, policymaker can design to be more aligned with how people actually think and behave, rather than relying solely on the assumptions of rationality. That is very important in this sense. Whatever it's through nudges, simplifying choices, it's through nudges, simplifying choices, leveraging social norms, or offering initiatives, behavioral insight have the potential to create more effective, cost efficient, and human centered policies that improve individuals and social outcomes. Apart from these facilities, there are challenges that arises in policy makings because designing policies that accounts for human behavior is different because of its biasness. Additionally, traditional policy tools such as taxes, subsidies may not be sufficient to achieve desired outcomes. Okay, so policymakers use the behavioral insight to design more effective policies that nudge citizens towards better decisions. For example, using default settings for retirement savings plan to increase participation rates. Let's discuss them one by one. First is the financial inclusion. So we are going to discuss the application of behavioral economics in policy areas. And we are going to discuss the different factors. First of all is the financial inclusion. Now, so what is financial inclusion? Financial inclusion refers to the effort made to ensure that individuals, especially those from marginalized and low-income groups, have access to affordable and appropriate financial products and services. Behavioral economics, which explores how psychological factors influence economic decision, has gained increasing importance in shaping policies in financial inclusion. On the other side, behavioral economics informs microfinance, digital banking, and insurance policy for underprivileged communities. So behavioral economics recognize that individuals do not always act in their best financial interest due to cognitive biases, emotional influence, and limited information. By understanding this bias, policymaker can design intervention that can help people make better financial decisions, leading to greater financial inclusion and improved economic output. So we can conclude that behavioral economics offer valuable insight that can shape financial inclusion policies, helping the individual make better financial decisions, despite the cognitive bias and emotional factor that often influence behavior. By designing policies that account for these biases through automatic enrollment, simplified product, commitment devices, and social norms influences, the policymaker can improve access to financial service, promote the long-term savings, and reduce the inequality, especially in the rural sector or the vulnerable sector, right? So behavioral economics has become increasingly vulnerable tool in the public health policy also. This offers the insight into how individuals make health-related decisions, often in a way that deviates from rational, long-term interest due to cognitive biases, emotions, and social influences. Understanding these biases allows policymakers to design more effective health intervention and policies that align with how people actually think and behave, rather than how they are expected to act in an ideologist model. Different positive externalities arises due to this behavioral economics concept in public health. These are like encouraging health eating, increasing physical activities, tobacco control and smoking, vaccination and preventive health, improving mental health and well-being. Apart from this, enhance obesity and weight management, etc. So behavioral economics offer powerful tools to improve public health by understanding how individuals make health-related decisions and how these decisions are influenced by biases, emotions, and some social factors. By leveraging concepts such as nudging, present bias, loss aversion, policymakers can create interventions that guide individuals towards healthier behavior, ultimately leading to improved public health outcomes. Right? However, the design of such policies must be done ethically, transparently, and inconclusively to ensure that they respect individual autonomy and promote equity. Right? Some example, nudges for vaccination uptake, anti-smoking campaigns, and exercise promotion rely on this behavioral principle. The next is environmental sustainability. So what is environmental sustainability? Environmental sustainability is a critical global challenge, and the behavioral economics offers valuable insight into how individual, business, government can make decisions related to environmental conservation and resource use. By understanding human behavior, policymakers can design more effective interventions that encourage sustainable practices and mitigate the environmental harm. Behavioral economics highlight that people do not always act in ways that are consistent with their long-term environmental interest due to cognitive biases, emotional influence, and social factors. This insight can use to design policies that help people make better environmental choices, right? Apart from this also leading to more sustainable behavior. So, by designing policies that accounts for biases like present bias, loss aversion, status quo bias, policymaker can encourage more sustainable behaviors at the individual, community, and business level. From improving energy efficiency to reduce plastic use, behavioral intervention can support a wide range of environmental sustainability goals, etc. However, these policies must be designed ethically and transparently and inclusively to ensure a very effective and equitable. For example, carbon taxes, energy efficiency levels can help align individual choice in the long-term sustainability goal. The behavioral economics also play a crucial role in the shaping effect of educational policy by addressing the cognitive bias, emotional and social influence. And this affect the decision making at various levels. Suppose ranging the students' behavior to parent involvement and policy implementation. Insight from behavioral economics can help policymakers design interventions that improve educational outcomes, increase engagement, and address inequalities. So, by applying concepts such as nudging, loss aversion, and social norms, policymakers can design intervention that can improve student motivation, engagement, achievement, ultimately leading to better educational outcomes. However, this intervention must be carefully designed to be equitable, transparent, and effective over the long term. The lastly is the rural development. Rural development refers to the process of improving the quality of life and economic well-being of people living in rural areas. Policymaker designs rural development programs often face the challenges of addressing the unique need of rural population, which may include limited access to education, healthcare, infrastructure, and employment opportunities. So, behavioral economics offers insight into how people in rural areas make decisions, and understanding this insight can be crucial for designing effective rural policies. Okay. So lastly, we can say that behavioral economics provide powerful tools for policymakers to design intervention that align with people actually behave. By considering facts such as biases, heuristic, social influence, and framing, and policymakers can craft more effective policies that lead to better individuals and societal outcomes. Whether addressing health, finance, environmental, and taxation, understanding and leveraging behavior insight can lead to more efficient, equitable, and sustainable policy decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar, for very nice presentation. You have covered all the issues, specifically how to design the areas of policy making different theories of behavioral economics. So now, any question from students? Mona Lisa, do you have any question or any ideas you want to share?
Sir, what are the powerful tools policymakers to design in behavioral economics, sir?
Okay.
Yes. That we have already discussed in these classes, the tools that is that I have already mentioned, that the different types of behavioral economics problem, that is the nudging problem, the architecture, these types of that means the policymakers should design the policies according to the behavior of the economy.
Please continue.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Hello, sir? Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm following you.
Okay. So this should be the major tools, that different types of behavioral economics are the main tools, and the policymakers should follow these types of behavioral economics, and they should design these policies according to the specific problem. Okay.
Okay. So thank you, Piali. Farah, what is the next class of behavioral economics?
Sir, next class is on Thursday, sir.
Okay. And the topic will be?
The topic is now short-term project, sir. A fourth chapter. One second.
Hello.
Hello, Piali.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
I am
next, sir, agro counseling, sir, 4.5.
Okay, agro counseling.
Yeah.
So this part is over, no? This rural
Yes,
areas
sir,
policy making.
4.5 is left, sir, in rural economics only, agro counseling.
Okay, agro counseling.
Yes.
Okay. So Piali, our next class will be on Thursday. The topic will be agro counseling.
Agro Council.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. So now
Thank
I
you.
am closing.
Yes, sir. We have next class, sir, at 8.
Okay. Good night.
Okay, sir.
Now we have to go to the another class.
Yes, sir. So you can stop the live session.
We have to end it. Otherwise, we cannot
Yes,
stop.
sir. Yes, sir.